Good day, everyone, once again. And also, as you know, today we'll discuss more about one most great exchanger, IXSwap. So for that, you just need to stay tuned and also just wait for our honorable guest. People make your own research to know more about IXSwap so that you can ask good questions and also so that you can know more about their project.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Oh, hey, great. Sorry, not sure what was happening there. Thank you. Thank you for adding me. How are you today?
Yes, I'm good and very excited for this, Amy. Just waiting
Excellent.
for you.
Yeah, thanks. Well, why don't we get started? Thanks. I know we've got a lot of people who have joined, so I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to listen to the project.
Okay, yeah. So the first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for having here and also to listen about IXSwap. And yeah, guys, as you know, they have some kind of mission in the crypto space. Like IXSwap is an pioneering DeFi platform that enables trading of the security tokens, and also their mission is to like use blockchain technology to build infrastructure and a liquidity solution for the security tokens. But we'll know from the Julian. So first of all, sir, could you please introduce yourself? Then you can make an overview about your project.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me, and hello again, everybody. Sorry for a minute delay there. My name is Julian Kwan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IXSwap. Um, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. This is my eighth business. I've done real estate, I've done prop tech, crowdfunding, and now blockchain. Um, and yeah, super excited to share IXSwap with everyone, your community here today. Jumping into what IXSwap is. IXSwap is the Uniswap for security tokens. So what that means is that we've built a legal and compliant platform that allows anybody with a security token to start a liquidity pool. Now, that is actually the real innovation from Uniswap. A lot of people just think it's a DEX, you can buy stuff. The real innovation was, if you go back to 2017, 18, you know, most of the large coins were trading on centralized crypto exchanges, but thousands and thousands of altcoins had nowhere to trade. Well, they were trading on DEXs, but there was no liquidity. And there was no liquidity because there was no market makers there. So what Uniswap did was they said, okay, why don't we see if we could develop a platform. We use smart contracts. Anyone can bring two cryptocurrencies to the platform. They can actually start a liquidity pool. And if anyone who has those tokens can join, and then people who come to the DEX will actually have some liquidity there. And that was the story and the innovation and the huge success that Uniswap became today, that we know it by. So what Uniswap did is it brought the ability for anyone with an altcoin to start a liquidity pool. And then jumping back to security tokens, so we focus on using blockchain and smart contracts to wrap, real world assets, real estate tokens, shares of companies, debt equity, all kinds of things. And the focus and for the industry, the security token industry, it just as a quick background for everyone listening, only started in 2017-18. And it started basically at the end of the ICO boom. So in 2017, we had thousands and thousands of initial coin offerings. It became apparent that a lot of them looked like securities, but they weren't following any rules. So what happened was you had the SEC in America. You had the ICO meltdown. So when it all started falling apart and no one wanted to buy them, people started saying, okay, why don't we, offer a security token instead, and it's more valuable because it's sort of equity, and it was all kind of that was the beginning of the industry. Now the problem was that there was no infrastructure. So if you want to issue, trade, or custodize a security token, you need to have a license. You need to have a license to do that. You need the technology and you have the license. Well, in 2017, the industry just began, so there was no license. There was no infrastructure. So one of the other big issues for the space was that, again, a lack of infrastructure. So what's happened over the last 4 years is you've had a lot more people. We've had a lot more people develop broker dealers, security token broker dealers, security token exchanges, security token custodians. What that means is that you now have a much higher quality and a much stronger volume of security tokens coming to the marketplace. Now, that's all great, except that the reality is that the security tokens exchanges are all brand new. So traditional market makers from the securities world who might make markets in public stocks, they're not in the market yet, although they're coming. and cryptocurrency market makers are not licensed to market make security tokens. So you actually don't have any liquidity solution, don't have any market making. So what we did, my team and Aaron and Alice, these co-founders, we looked at this market and said, okay, what's going to happen in the next couple of years? We're going to see, if you believe in tokenization, which we firmly do, of all assets, every real estate fund, every startup, every venture capital firm, et cetera, you're going to have a lot more security tokens than you do cryptocurrencies and ICOs, a lot more, because there already is 1 million securities out there. So if that's the case, then we're going to have a problem that's much bigger than we had in 2017 for ICOs, where there was no liquidity solution for all these initial coin offerings. Well, for the security token space, we think that problem is going to be even bigger. So that's why we built IXSwap, because we believe that there'll be millions of STOs. And we believe that anyone who has an STO, if they could start a liquidity pool, that would be hugely beneficial and hugely valuable to them, even if it was small. And then IXSwap's been built to be the leading AMM for security tokens. Now, the difference is that between Uniswap and IXSwap is IXSwap has smart contracts. Instead of crypto, it's a security token and whatever paired token. So it might be a security token in USDC or whatever people choose to use. Now, behind the smart contracts, you have to be passing these transactions through a broker dealer and a custodian to legally create an STO pool and legally trade an STO. So Uniswap can't do what IXSwap does because it doesn't have any licenses. So that's kind of the overview of the project. I think it's the killer application for the space. There's many security token brokers in the world now. There's many more security token exchanges. Again, there's still not much liquidity solutions, and IXSwap is built agnostic to all the STO platforms. So if anyone wants to use it, we'll obviously explore that from a business perspective. It has its first partners, and now it's growing, and we're super excited. We've got our own licenses now to make it a lot more scalable. So we have a cryptocurrency license, a custody license, a broker deal license, exchange license, and what's also super exciting is that it's for retail investors, for everybody. It's not just for sophisticated and accredited investors. So we're kind of fulfilling the promise after about 2 years of building here that we would make buying STOs as easy as buying cryptocurrency or stocks for all investors. So that's kind of a quick overview of the whole platform and how it works.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for that. So you described so many things to that. So yeah, like by utilizing the cutting edge blockchain technology, such as I can say automated market making and liquidity pools, DeFi, and other techs. So they are aimed like to level the playing field for the investor and open up a wider range of the investment opportunities for all to the participant in. So definitely, guys, it's going to be one of the most choosing platform for you. So you need to just make your own research to know more about their project. And also, if you have any more question and query, you can ask through this email. But for that, you just need to stay tuned. You just need to listen this email very carefully. So, you described a lot of things. I just want to know, like, IXSwap recently launched their launchpad. Can you explain more about that? That means for the retail investor and the token
Sure.
users.
Yeah, great. So one of the other elements about securities is that they've typically been only available for high net worth individuals, accredited investors, sophisticated investors, people who can prove they've got $1, $2, $3 million of net worth. Now, that's the way of the world. Now, this isn't the case with publicly traded stocks, which is why all of us can go buy a stock of Apple. Well, actually, it's not even true, but a lot of people can because the company's gone public and it has enough money and enough disclosures. And now, basically, the theory was that smart, rich people fund these companies. And then when they go list and all these guys sell out and make a huge amount of money, everyone else can buy it. So it's not such a fair, great system, but that's how the system's been operating. What we've been able to do is secure necessary licensing to allow us to allow anyone to buy. So you don't have to have any specific net worth. You just have to do a basic KYC, where you're from, which is kind of the basic standard for even in the crypto industry these days. But you don't have to provide any amount of proof that you have any amount of net worth. What that means is that everyone can buy. And what we're doing is we've put together the launch pad. And the launch pad is starting off with some really exciting startups that are tokenizing equity in the startups. Now, we're trying to also push a lot of the issuers, the guys who are launching these projects, selling their securities, their security token, so debt or equity in their company or their project. We're encouraging them to make it really small, $1, $10, $100, so more people can buy. And what I firmly believe in is that there's a new Web3 brings a new paradigm to how you can fundraise. Right? So let's just think about traditional startup. A traditional startup, I mean a normal startup, I should say. They if they're successful, they raise money from venture capital firms, and then they, Series A, seed round, Series A funding, Series B, C, D. But typically, it's just for the big boys, and that is how and then years later, the company might go public, and then the retail investors can buy. So what we're doing is changing all of that, and we're actually making it. We want to make all the retail investors be able to access at the beginning the same that used to be just for the VCs. Now, this is really interesting and really important for Web3. Why? Because if you want to build a platform and a community and a product, any of those things, it's obviously much better to have users and sales than have to rely on investment. Typically, you need both, and typically startups have a combination of both. But the point that I want to make is that in a traditional startup, you might have $1 million from one venture capital firm. Okay, that's how we did it, and that company is one group, and then away you go. You start building a platform. We think it's going to be much more valuable if you were to still have that sophisticated or that professional VC, but instead of selling them $1 million of shares, maybe you sell them $200,000, and then you take $800,000 and you put it in security tokens and you put it out to the marketplace, because then you're giving real ownership of the platform to the users. And I would rather have 800,000 $1 shareholders with my new platform than one VC, because now I've got 800,000 users. And so there's been I call it miscommunication or misinformation in the whole crypto space, that ownership of these platforms, like if you own the token, like an ICO, let's just go back to a cryptocurrency. If you own the token, that's where all the value is, and everyone can buy it, etc. That's just not really true. That's not true, because you'll have groups like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia Capital and some of the biggest VCs in the world putting like $300-400 million into the Solana Foundation or into whatever it is, sitting on the equity side of that deal. So if all the value was truly captured just in the ICO, then why are all these investors wanting to give money to own equity in the platform? And the answer is, it doesn't just sit with the token. There's business models behind all these platforms. So what we're now doing, we're now coming to the market and saying, if you really want to build a loyal user base and build a growing community, give them true ownership. And I think true ownership isn't just an ICO. True ownership is equity in a company. So I think the future of building startups, especially in the Web3 space, is actually a combination of, professional investors and then real ownership to community in really small amounts. So then you actually have a better business model and a stronger case for becoming successful. So I think the new paradigm and the new way that funding will work for startups is with STOs. And I think you'll start to see some super exciting and interesting creative ways people are raising money for their startups, because they'll say, okay, you can buy an STO. You could also buy an ICO. We might even have an NFT. There might be a DAO attached to this. And if you hold the STO, you might get XYZ benefits on the platform. And then you really have a really exciting way for users to engage into a platform. And you're really helping the platforms grow through this whole new system. And why hasn't this been possible before? Mostly, one of the reasons that this hasn't been possible before, because we haven't built it yet, and no one else really in the world had done that. But it was mainly a paperwork problem. So people say, well, if I could issue 800,000 security tokens to 800,000 people through IXSwap, and it didn't really cost me much more time or money than just selling one share to a VC, yeah, I'd do that all day long. But in the old world, the paperwork was too expensive. It makes no sense to sell somebody $1 share if you're a private company, because it costs you more than that to print out a piece of paper and send it to them, just in a courier fee. So there's a massive cost benefit now that comes with tokenization, security tokens, which I think is going to dramatically improve the performance of the platforms. And we're just super excited. And, again, it's been a very difficult and long road to get to this point, but we're happy to be here and being able to offer up all these new exciting products that are coming down the pipeline for all the community on IXSwap.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the detailed information. So yes, people like they have a lot of opportunities, as you know. Right now, they're focusing on the regulation, and also they also offer the trading of the security tokens with actual liquidity, as well as the features such as liquidity mining, governance, and crypto trading, and so many others. So get back to the next question, like regarding to the liquidity, as you know, liquidity pools are very vital element for any project. So how does IXO plan to establish and nurture the dynamic liquidity pools that attract the more traders and more people to make a seamless trading experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what's interesting about security tokens are real, is equity or debt in a real company or a fund or an asset. Very different from ICOs and a lot of the NFTs. But so what's interesting about what IXSwap has done, we've been able to develop a platform which allows anyone with a minimum of $10,000. So you can have $5,000 of real estate STO shares, and you can have $5,000 of USDC, and you could actually come to the platform and start a liquidity pool. Now, we recommend it should be at least 100,000, but you can technically do it at that small amount. Now, why is that sort of so game changing? Well, first of all, if you or I have a company and it's private, there's typically no exit until there's an exit, right? You work in this company, or you're an investor, you're in the seed round, you're an angel investor. You just wait, because startups typically take 7 to 10 years to come to an exit if they don't die, right? A lot of companies die. But the ones that are successful often take 7 years, 10 years, even longer. So what we've been able to do now is create a system where people can create liquidity for shares of any asset today. So you could take, it might be small, it might be big, but you can then say, all right, well, I'm raising money for my fund or my company or whatever I'm doing, and we're launching, $200,000, $300,000 of security tokens, and we've created the first, $50,000 liquidity pool. So we've actually created a way to invest into my company and actually have enhanced liquidity optionality around that through the platform. So IXSwap takes, how it works technically is, if the security token is onboarded, and that means that it needs to be onboarded by the custodian and the broker dealer. But if it's onboarded, then you bring your security tokens to the platform. You can start or join a liquidity pool that is for those particular assets. You can share in the market making fee. So again, modeled off what Uniswap, which I think is one of the best innovations in DeFi, it allows people to share in the market making fees. And so what IXSwap does, it shares the market making fees with the users, just like Uniswap does. And then we actually have some really exciting mechanisms to create deflationary pressure on our IXS token, which is the native token of the platform, by taking a portion of the fees and using that to basically burn amounts of IXS. And that's relative to how much fees there are. So, we created the IXS token as the native token for the platform, and it comes with a whole bunch of interesting benefits. And we've got all this, all over our materials and websites and Notions, and I'm sure we can share all this with the community after this. For those that are interested, you can actually buy it on KuCoin and Uniswap. And yeah, I think we think it's the killer application for the space, because, and what I mean by the space, I mean for the entire, it has a shot now to be the biggest market maker for security tokens. And just for the community, because a lot of people in crypto don't really know this because they just haven't studied it or they haven't read about it yet. The private securities markets, which is everything that's not publicly listed, so talking about private company, startup, whatever, real estate fund, anything that's not a publicly traded asset, that market is 6 to 10 times bigger than the publicly traded markets. So all of the private companies out there are much, much bigger by market cap than the listed companies. Why? Because it's been very expensive, and you can only list a company if you're sort of the biggest, the best, you have all the most revenue, you have all the funding from the venture capitals. 99.9% of companies never get there. So the beauty of what IXSwap does is it allows everyone, all these assets, big and small and ugly, whatever it is, if you weren't going to get a traditional market maker because you're never going to list in a traditional way in terms of listing a public, taking a startup and listing on NASDAQ and going public and all that kind of stuff. Most companies will never even get there. They just don't have the capital, don't have the size. We've now created a similar system. It's not as big as NASDAQ yet, that allows anyone with a security token, a share of something, to start a liquidity pool, and that breathes life into the assets. And we've already seen what this did to the ICO, to the DEX world, right? And there was no liquidity in for altcoins. Well, there was just no liquidity. It wasn't very exciting. And then once Uniswap allowed people to create those liquidity pools, we had this huge explosion of volume and trading volume. Now, actually, I think some of the biggest pairs, ETH, USDC trading pairs, have deeper liquidity on Uniswap than they do on Coinbase and Binance for some of the tokens, which just shows how successful that's been. So what does that mean for IXSwap? IXSwap's total addressable market is this $15-20 trillion of private market assets that's growing every year. McKinsey predicts this to be 25 trillion. It's such a big number. It doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's so big. The point is it's kind of limitless, and you've got all of these STO platforms around the world that have got licenses and gone and built broker dealers and exchanges, but none of them have got market making. So we're now going around the world signing up the next partners saying, okay, you guys have spent a lot of money and time to get the necessary license to issue security tokens in your country, whether that's Germany or Australia or Hong Kong, wherever, but you don't have any market making solutions. So if you plug into IXSwap, all of your STO investors and issuers now have a solution to liquidity because they can start it themselves, low cost, fast, and a small pool. So this is the real power of the platform. And that's why I think that, we have a great shot here to become the biggest AMM model. And it's been recently that governments, financial institutions have started to wake up to the power of the AMM model for the securities world. All right. And we're just ahead of the curve. We built this, and banks are writing white papers about how AMMs can solve liquidity issues for securities in private markets. And we've got the first working product. So we're really excited to have more people come and use it. We've just started the first couple of pools. We've got a long way to go. We've got 8 new assets coming to the platform in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, we'd love everyone here to become, IXSwap, join the IXSwap community and benefit from and the value that we're creating over there.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you for that. So guys, no worries about that. So one last question before going to the live. I saw there are a lot of people they're already waiting. As you know, like there are a lot of exchanges all over the world. And what is your plan to make more popular, to make more awareness, to inform people about the IXSwap?
Sorry, to make it more, what was that last word? It just cut out.
To make it more popular, like to make people know that is your exist, and also
Yeah, look, our team is working very, very hard every day. We always have been to promote the platform through partnerships by joining, great AMNs and meeting new communities like we're doing today, which we're really happy to do, and we're constantly looking to do more of. The model itself is growing in a B2B fashion. And what that means is, there are a lot of security tokens that have been issued around the world and they don't have any liquidity yet. So what we're doing as a business is going to all of these STO platforms and saying, you've issued security tokens, you have investors, you have live products, you just don't have any liquidity solutions. So if you integrate with IXSwap, all of your issuers and investors of STOs can now have a path towards liquidity solutions. That's very powerful because it makes their business a lot better. Because a lot of people sold STOs liquidity for liquid assets. That's just one part of it, but that was a big narrative. There's a lot of other parts, by the way. There's the creation of new investment products. There's the creation of liquidity pools. There's plugging into AMMs and the power of DeFi. But I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at the community today, but that's how we do it. But going back to that concept that liquidity for liquid assets, that was sort of like 99% of people in the world thinks that's what security tokens are. Okay, well, if that's the case, we have the first solution. So it's a combination of many things. And we're super active on socials, networking. We cross DeFi and TradFi, so we've got 21 different partnerships at IXSwap, different dexes, service providers, other custody players, and we're just building it out. It was a world first, so it was very difficult to build. No one had ever done it before, but we got it out the door, and we've been successful to be able to launch it. So that's kind of an overview.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir, for answering all the questions. So it's time to take some questions from the community. I saw like people are waiting. So the first of all, bro. Hello, bro.
Hello, thank you for joining me to the MA. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Okay.
Yep, can hear you.
Yes, ask your question, please.
Yeah. My question is, do you have any plans to launch any airdrop or bounty program in IX as well?
Yes, we do have one already. So why don't we make sure we put those in the notes? I think we just launched another one just a week ago. I think Gene, who's helping head that up, is on this call as well. So Gene, maybe you could track down and share the latest information about the bounty program. So yeah, please join that if that's exciting for you.
Yeah, and I also want to know about, do you have any ambassador program or some partnership?
We do.
Yeah.
We do have an ambassador program as well. So why don't we definitely make sure we put out those links for the community here after the chat. I don't have the at the top of my head. I can't remember what the links are.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And also, if you think like it's going to be more profitable, you can invite your friends and family to come in IXSwap and make trade. So thank you for your question. So next one is Bravo. Hello, Bravo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
we
ask
can
your
hear you.
question, please.
Okay, so my question is, as you know that we are currently in bear market. So what marketing strategy have you implement to get more user trust in this bear season?
Yeah, it's mainly it's a combination of call it B2C and B2B. So here, obviously, we're speaking to the whole new communities and trying to build up the individual users, but we're really focused as a platform on the B2B side. I just touched base on that previously, where we go to where the STOs have been issued and where they've been already bought, where they don't have liquidity, which is every STO platform out there. And then we say, okay, why don't you guys integrate with us? Send us your 5 or 10 STOs, send us your couple thousand. Okay.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Bravo. Hope that you got your answer. So the next one is Noila. Hello, Noila.
Hello, good day. Hello, good day. How many
Yeah.
people?
Yes, good day. Ask your question, please.
Okay. I want to ask about um people, because I read on their website that they help tokenize. You can tokenize your real life assets there. So I want to know the security measures in which they put in place, because the blockchain, the way it is now, a lot of hacks and cyber crime. So what security measures have they put in place to secure users tokenized assets? And then secondly, I also want to ask about, because since users will be tokenizing their real life assets, how is the project going to ensure that ensure the ownership of the
Okay.
so and so person that is
I think we lost.
listing it up for tokenization?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, did you get my question?
Yeah. I think I did. So the first part is.
Should I repeat the question? Okay.
No, I got it. Yeah. So the first part is security tokens aren't like cryptocurrency, and what I mean is we don't have the same problem where people steal your private keys in Bitcoin and they've stolen your Bitcoin. So because security tokens are tied to real world assets, there's a cap table, there's an equity table. I can't just come and steal your security tokens. It's like me stealing a piece of paper of, excuse me, it's like me stealing a piece of paper with your shares. It doesn't make any sense. I can't do anything with them because I'm not you. So we don't have anywhere near the same cyber security issues with security tokens as we do for crypto, although we do use the same technology. So there's a big difference. The second part, I think, it did cut out a bit there. I think you said something about how do we make sure that the funds the assets are tight. That's okay. Yeah. How do you connect the security token to the actual real world asset? So a security token is a digital share, right? So just like a paper share, you have to have reference points to whatever it is, right? So there's no major difference with that as well. Now, what IXSwap does is we don't do due diligence on every single asset, but what we do the due diligence on the company issuing a security token. So if you think about a real estate manager or a venture capital firm or a startup, our job is to make these companies and the funds go through a KYC process so we can onboard them so we feel comfortable they're legitimate and they actually have the right licenses to be a real estate manager or be a venture capitalist or whatever they do. So then the assets themselves, it's decided by the venture capital, the real estate group. And that's where investors, I think it was mentioned already, still have to do their own due diligence. So that's how it works with all investment platforms. It's typically the managers of those investments, they must pass KYC. But because there's hundreds and if not thousands of different assets, we don't have the skills nor the capabilities, nor our business model to actually go and to check every single underlying asset. But we've got to check the managers, and that's probably the best way to explain it.
Okay, yeah, thank you for answering that. I saw she's not in here. I think the connectivity issue. So next one is Danish.
Okay.
Hello, Danish.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're.
Okay. My question, I want to know for the platform, do you intend to integrate emerging technology like AI into the platform for this coming year? I'm sorry, for this second quarter of the year.
In terms of what type of technology? Did you say AI?
Yeah, AI.
Yes. I think there's a lot of value around some of the AI applications. We're watching it very closely. It's not going to dramatically change anything at this point in time because we've just spent the last 2 years building the tech and getting the licenses, and now we've got the first assets coming to marketplace. But I think that there's going to be a lot of exciting benefits for investors by implementing the latest and greatest of these new technologies. Investments still require people to do, their own research. So you might be able to improve the volume and the speed of your knowledge around assessing a particular asset by using AI, but I don't think you'd want to be just relying 100% on, the decisions coming out of it. But we're testing it every day and we're watching it very closely.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dennis, for your question. So the last participant is Fortune. Hello, Fortune.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so my question, I want to know in respect to your communities. We know that community is the bedrock of every project. So how do you plan to make your project more global to other countries? And also, what do we expect to see for this year, 2023 and beyond?
What do you think? So what are my predictions for the STO market? Is that right? In different places around the world, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Securities offerings, security token offerings, they all have to be issued somewhere, right? So because the asset is somewhere. So typically where the asset is, whether it's in Australia or Hong Kong or London, America, wherever it is, India, Wherever that asset is usually the governing jurisdiction of the securities, how you issue, who can buy, where you can sell, all that kind of stuff. Now, what I predict, what's happening right now is that globally, so ex-USA, which is having a lot of trouble, the rest of the world has been positively regulating crypto in terms of trying to come up with a framework so people can buy and sell it, and it's clear what happens. Taxes, this, that, the other. Is it a commodity? Is it whatever it is, right? So that's good. It's positive. Security tokens, they already have regulations. We already have securities regulations. These regulations don't reference paper. So if you go to any country, in Singapore, for example, if you want to buy and sell something, a real estate fund, there's rules, right? And those rules have existed for a long time. So what people misunderstood or have been confused about is that security tokens need new rules. They don't. We already have securities rules. Actually, when I called up some of the regulators and I said, I want to trade security tokens, what do I need? They said, is it a security? I said, yes. They go, well, you need a securities license. That was it. Is there a special one for this? No. Now, so the securities laws don't reference paper. So the security token is just a digital share versus a paper share. So we don't need new rules. Now, of course, rules should be updated because along comes this new technology, but it's not needed to get the industry started, and that's becoming more obvious around the world. So what I predict is going to happen, I think eventually America will get it together, maybe not this year, for both crypto and security tokens, but in places in Asia in particular, I think Asia is going to be a huge hub because Korea is very pro crypto and security tokens. Japan's the same, Singapore's the same, Hong Kong's now getting all over it as well, and it continues sort of moving forward. So I think very, very bullish on tokenization. It's taken 4 or 5 years for us to get to this point because it's taken so long to get all the licenses. My platforms have taken collectively 5.5 years to get all these licenses. Some of them were going at the same time, but an extremely long period of time. But now you have, much higher quality groups issuing security tokens because there's platforms to do it, and it makes sense. It's more transparent. It's better. It's faster. It's cheaper. It's better access. It's new investment products. It's plugging into AMM. So my prediction is that we're only going to see huge growth in the tokenization of real world assets, and I think the same for crypto. I think crypto is going to be super bullish. I think in terms of adoption and use, and I think that the world, it's all combining together now. STOs, ICO, NFT, DAOs. DAOs are actually security tokens. The reason why they're having issues now is because their jurisdiction is not a country, it's Ethereum, and that's why the US regulators don't like it because they can't control it. But that aside, I think very, very excited by all the new and interesting products that have come to market. I just think we're going to be going we're just going to be growing from here moving out. But yeah, there's still a lot of work to do, but yeah, there's a lot of platforms now around the world coming to market. We got 20 different partnerships with IXSwap now. We couldn't do that last year or the year before because there weren't enough people in the space. And now next year it'll probably be 40 partnerships, and we grow from there. So that's my predictions.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Fortune, for your question. And also, people don't forget to join and like and also follow their accounts, all kind of their social links to know more their future plan and updates. So, Julian, I think we are enough for now. We have to wrap up this segment. But before that, is there any important news you wanted to share once again to our community?
Yeah, look, I think it's an exciting time to join IXSwap. We try to create some really smooth user experiences. So I encourage everyone here to join on the platform, start using it. I encourage everyone to buy some IXS tokens. I think we're going to be, starting. The platform's been being built for the last 2 years. So the tokens never had use case that you could actually use it. Now that changes. That all changes next month. So I think IXS is going to go a lot stronger moving forward now that the platform's coming live, which again, it's taken a lot longer than some people had wanted. But when you're dealing with regulators for licenses, there's no timelines. You just have to keep going till you get it. And they never, ever tell you any timeline. So that's kind of difficult, but that's our responsibility. But yes, I'd say everyone would love you guys to join. The Twitter channel is really starting to grow a lot. We've got Telegram. I think we've got all the notes and the links. We'll put them here. We've got an ambassador program. We've got a bounty program. So we'll make sure we get all of those links. Gene, if you could follow up here with the team here. that'd be awesome. And yeah, thanks for having us today. And I hope that was interesting for everyone. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir, for your precious time to our community, and also I'd like to thank everyone to listen here about this evening and the best wishes to your project.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye, everyone. Good day.